for some peace of mind, but TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat, and someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line, and Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Yeah, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just
Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday the 6th. I got a lot of news, a couple of explosions, a lot of updates on cases. Basically, file all of this in what in the Walmart rapture or name and shame. Basically, we are having another day full of a lot of headlines and a lot of, are we in the end times, or what is going on exactly here? But that's why you guys have me. I go through the news so you don't have to keep all the politics out because, who knows what's going on with politics. We do have a lot of true crime kind of updates and new true crime stuff going on today, along with a lot of just random holy crap headlines. And Squid Pro Quo, I could not cover this case. I will be honest with you. The fact that this man let his daughter roast in a car so he could watch corn just broke my heart. And I could cover it on Mornings with Mo, but the actual trial, I had to back away from, because even with the Petty Express, I was not going to be objective. Now, as you can see, the New York Post is also not being very objective, but I kind of don't feel that being objectivity is needed here. Deadbeat Arizona father or dad Christopher Schultz dies by his own hand after leaving his 2-year-old daughter to pass away in a hot car while he watched corn. This was a heartbreaking case. He actually, it seems like, and again, I didn't delve deeply into this case, but it seems like he had a history of leaving his children in a hot vehicle to fuck on off to do whatever. And excuse my French, I usually don't try to curse in Mornings with Mo, but seriously, he went to wank off, okay? The deadbeat Arizona dad, who admitted to leaving his 2-year-old daughter to die in a sweltering car while he was watching adult movies, is dead, with the coward ending himself, according to reports. Yeah, New York Post is taking, well, yeah, is offering no condolences to this man and reading him for filth. Christopher Schultz, 38, was found dead in his Phoenix home just after 5 a.m. Wednesday, police told the Post. Now, that was the same day that he was due to report to prison ahead of his sentencing, where he faced anywhere from 30 to 25 years behind bars. Quote, instead of coming in to take account for what occurred here, we have been informed and we have confirmed that the father took his own life last night, Pima County Attorney Laura Conover said in a statement on Wednesday. Now, confusion apparently ensued after he failed to appear for a hearing where he'd been directed to hand himself over, according to ABC 15, with courthouse officials apparently unaware that he had passed away. Now, the despicable dad had a known habit of leaving his children in the car and pled guilty in October to second-degree murder and was expected to be officially sentenced to anywhere from 20 years to 30 years in prison this month. Now, his death comes more than a year after his young daughter Parker was found dead in the driveway of their Marina home outside of Tucson on a scorching July afternoon in 2024 when the temperature outside soared to over 109 degrees Fahrenheit. And inside a car, it's going to be, you could bake cookies inside a car with how hot it's going to be in a car. Now, he claims to have left the toddler in the car from around 12:30 p.m. for about 30 minutes with the air conditioning on because he didn't want to wake her up. But the court records later revealed that he actually left his little girl in the car for over 3 hours and even admitted that he knew that the car would automatically shut off, not provide any more air conditioning after the first half hour. Now, he was inside watching corn, playing video games, and drinking beer while his daughter basically roasted to death. Now, there was apparently something of a habit of him doing this, not just in one family, but in two families. Now, his older children from a previous marriage told investigators that he would leave them in the car when they were kids, while his younger daughters with Parker's mother, Erica, reported that their dad left them strapped in the car while he went inside. Now, Parker's body was found when her anesthesiologist mother came home at 4 p.m. with body cam footage from the responding officer showing Chris break into a panic while insisting that he'd left her outside for no more than 30 to 45 minutes. She's very, very hot right now. We're doing all we can, the police told the father. Now, Parker was declared no longer living within the hour of being rushed to Banner University Medical Health Center, the same hospital where her own mother worked. Now, the father, Christopher, became angry and defensive after learning that his daughter had passed away. So, quote, "I'm going to be treated like a monster," he said in police body cam footage when cops told him he couldn't take a shower and that they could no longer leave him alone. And despite having insisted to police that he's never done something like this before, his own text with his wife quickly revealed that this was something of a habit for him. Quote, "I told you to stop leaving them in the car," the mother texted him after the death. "How many times have I told you?" He responded, "Babe, I'm sorry. Babe, our family, how could I do this? I killed our baby. This can't be real." The wife later called the daughter he killed perfect as they texted. Now, despite her fury, the mother requested that Christopher be allowed to come home after his arrest so that the family could grieve together. But all might not have been as rosy as she was trying to make this out to be. Now, one of the older daughters from his previous marriage sued both him and Erica in October, alleging that they had caused her emotional distress and detailing incidents of being left in cars going back to when she was just 7 years old. Now, she also alleged that she endured assault and battery from both her father and stepmother. The oldest daughter has suffered immensely from both Christopher and Erica, said the 17-year-old's guardian, Lisa Eisenberg. So we might still be seeing something adjacent to this case if the charges the older daughter bring up against the stepmother hold any validity. That being said, it's probably not right to say, and look, I'm going to miss Christian points, but bon voyage, douchebag. I hope Satan has fun with you. Like, go dance with, hopefully they do the little thing on Little Nicky, that terrible Adam Sandler movie, and they give him the old, hide the flask with Hitler in it, kind of thing. I'm just saying, just ridiculous. Now, in other news, and we don't know a lot about this one, so I will be keeping my ears open for updates, but as of right now, we don't really know what caused the car to explode, but 7 firefighters in New York City were injured after a jaw-dropping car explosion blast fireballs into the sky. 7 firefighters were injured when a car exploded in the Bronx, sending a giant fireball into the sky on Wednesday evening. The smoke eaters were responding to a fire in front of a building between Intervale Avenue and Kelly Street in Longwood when the blast occurred at around 7:06 p.m. Now, the explosion was captured in jaw-dropping footage that shows billowing flames and plumes of smoke towering over the street. There was a lot of garbage and debris on the sidewalk that was on fire. There were also a couple of cars on fire, and shortly after we arrived on scene, there was some sort of explosion, a large fireball, said Chief of Department John Esposito at a news conference late Wednesday. Now, officials said that 7 FND firefighters had sustained injuries. Now, 3 of the firefighters were admitted to Jacoby Hospital with severe burns, while the other 4 had minor injuries. 5 of them sustained burns to both their hands and faces, officials have been reporting. Now, we don't really know the origin of this or anything, so I can't give you a reason why this car exploded other than, the basic subjection or kind of speculation in my head that the fire reached the gas tank. As for any other nefarious things, there's going to have to be an investigation. Now, the burns are considered serious but not life-threatening, said Esposito, who added that the firefighters are awake, alert, and speaking, so they are at least, responsive. Sheldon Temperman, a doctor at Jacoby Hospital, noted he was worried but expects the first responders to all have a recovery from their injuries. I'll be worried until they're home, but we do expect them to recover from their injuries, the doctor told reporters. A wall of fire came on them and surrounded them. What they were concerned about was their colleagues and families. And there's a reason why I refer to you folks as New York's greatest, Temperman, the doctor continued. So it does look like it was a very extensive fireball and explosion. Now, the fire was controlled at 8:19 p.m., so within an hour and about 19 minutes, they were able to get this all under control. Now, pictures of the aftermath of the fire showed a hollowed out charred frame of a vehicle and the sidewalk that's littered with soot and debris. Now, no pedestrian injuries have been reported so far, according to officials. Now, the extent of the firefighters' injuries has not immediately been made clear. A hazmat company, the Bureau of Fire Investigation, and the Bureau of Fire Prevention are all at the scene to investigate, so we might be getting more information today. That being said, I do not know a whole lot more. Now, in an update, and let's see if I can get this. We actually were able to get some new footage taken from a truck driver who had a dash cam going when the UPS plane crashed. Now, the black box has been recovered from the UPS plane that crashed in Louisville, and unfortunately, the count of people who lost their lives went up from 11 to 12 the last time I looked, and does include a child. The black box from the UPS train that crashed in a fiery blaze has been recovered on Wednesday as the tragic death toll climbed to 12 people, including 1 child. Now, investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board have arrived in Louisville, Kentucky on Wednesday to determine what caused the massive cargo plane to explode just moments after takeoff. After combing through a large debris field near Muhammad Ali International Airport, the NTSB has discovered the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder. Those are often referenced as the black boxes. Now, the equipment did suffer some heat damage, but NTSB spokesperson Todd Inman said that he expected that the information could still be recovered. We feel comfortable that once we get these to our lab in DC, that we will be able to get a good readout of the applicable data, Inman told reporters. That will be yet another point of information that will really help us understand what happened. Now, authorities have already determined that one of the plane's three engines detached from its left wing as the wide-body jet was rolling down the runway. Now, the plane is a McDonnell Douglas MD-11 and was carrying three crew members when it was able to at least climb 175 feet into the air. Now, the aircraft briefly cleared a fence at the end of the runway before it plunged to the ground, erupting in flames as it careened through industrial buildings. Now, aerial photographs from the scene show the destruction left in its wake, leaving a charred, just scar on the earth, basically. It remains unclear what may have caused the engine to fall off the 34-year-old aircraft, but Inman said the NTSB is now working to understand not only what happened, but why it happened and to be able to recommend changes to prevent it from happening again. Well, I mean, I would hope that in the normal functions of airplaning, engines wouldn't fall off of anything. I mean, I don't claim to be like a airplaneologist, but I would think that, an engine falling the F off would be something that shouldn't happen. Like, I figured you tighten down screws and nuts and bolts, every flight. Again, the reason I am making the Great American Road Trips great again, because honestly, I watch way too much Mayday airline disasters. In the meantime, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear has announced that authorities are moving from a rescue to a recovery mission and that they don't expect to find anyone else alive in the field of wreckage. As of Wednesday evening, the death toll had unfortunately risen to 12, with several individuals still being unaccounted for, Beshear was able to share on social media, adding that it's believed that at least one child is among the victims. Now, the deaths, including 9 people on the ground, as well as the 3 crew members in the cargo plane, are how they are getting to that number. Now, 15 others were injured in the devastating crash and transported to local hospitals and are being treated for injuries ranging from minor to severe burns, blast injuries, shrapnel injuries, and smoke inhalation, according to local news. Now, Okolona Fire Department Chief Mike Little has said that firefighters are expected to remain at the scene for at least a week to continue to look for victims in the large debris field. And Spire, thank you for being a member for 10 months. It happened with this model of plane in the 70s. Yeah, and I believe McDonnell Douglas was bought out by someone else. I don't believe McDonnell Douglas is still a functional aircraft manufacturer, but I could be wrong. Again, this is not my bandwidth mostly, and I'm not an expert. I just watch TV about airplane crashes. Now, he noted that there's not much of the physical plane to scrounge for. As for the fuselage, we haven't seen much of it, to tell you the truth, Little told reporters on Wednesday. With the intense fire that was out there, most things are gone, including the vehicles, semis, and the plane. Now, Little went on to say that it was a miracle that the collision didn't occur in a more densely populated area. To be honest with you, we're lucky that this wasn't a residential area, he said. Thank God many of the employees had already left, being that it was after 6 or 5 p.m. It could have been more catastrophic for us. So this is kind of the area of where the airplane took off, and this is where they actually crashed. So not very far at all. Now, the plane with 3 people aboard crashed around 5:15 as it was departing for Honolulu. So it had an incredible amount of jet fuel in it. The wings contain the, gas tanks. So obviously when they, crashed wing first, it was going to basically explode. Let's see here. It immediately was engulfed in a fireball, igniting a string of blazes and scattering a debris field that stretches for about a half mile through an industrial corridor. Now, the plane also struck and caused smaller explosions in a Kentucky petroleum recycling business, and I guess hit an auto salvage yard, Gray A Auto Parts. Now, Basir said the child who died was with the parents at the auto parts business when they lost their lives. Now, some people who heard the boom saw the smoke and smelled the burning fuel as a fire spread over several miles Tuesday night, said that they were still stunned a day later. I didn't know if we were getting attacked. I didn't know what was going on, said Summer Dickerson, who works nearby. Now, Stooges Bar and Grill bartender Kayla Kennedy said that the lights suddenly flickered as she took a beer to a customer on the patio. I saw a plane in the sky coming down over the top of our volleyball courts in flames. In a moment, I panicked, turned around, and ran through the bar screaming, telling everyone that a plane was crashing. Now, manager Lynn Carson said explosions only about 100 yards away shook the building 3 times like someone was bombing everyone. But thankfully, at least in the bar, no one was injured. So definitely we will probably be getting more reports, especially now that they've found the black box. Now, the crash and ensuing fires forced a shutdown of the airport for the night and disrupted airport-based operations around UPS World Port facility, the company's global cargo hub for its air shipments worldwide, slowing delivery services. Now, it did resume operations on Wednesday evening, with a company spokesperson saying, "Our goal is to begin returning to normal network cadence with flights arriving at destinations Thursday morning." Now, Bashir did issue a state of emergency Wednesday aimed at hastening the flow of disaster response resources to the scene of the crash. He also launched the Team Kentucky Emergency Relief Fund, with every dollar donated to those affected for funerals, response, recovery, or rebuilding. So it does look like they're doing some good steps to rebuild and get the people that are affected, buried with dignity, to not push this expense on the families. So hopefully we get some answers and we can make sure this doesn't happen again. Well, the Louvre seems to have used password 123. They are the Spaceballs of museums. The Louvre allegedly used a mind-blowingly weak password for its core security system ahead of the $102 million jewel heist. Please let it be password 123. Come on, password. It might as well have been password. A probe into the broad daylight heist at the Louvre has revealed that the world-renowned museum has used a mind-boggling, I feel like I need Daryl Brooks here, it's mind-boggling, bogglingly weak password for its core security systems, according to a report. Now, France's National Cybersecurity Agency was able to access a server managing the museum's video surveillance system using the ridiculously easy password Louvre. You've got to be kidding me. I give up. This is why the aliens won't give us. This is why we've never found Bigfoot or a unicorn. Because humanity is paradoxically the most smart creature in the world and the dumbest creature at the same time. So apparently, if you had wanted to hack the Louvre, even I could have done it with my jitterbug adjacent, tech skills. According to confidential documents, yes, the Louvre's password was Louvre. I give up. Now, the namesake's password was first revealed by the agency in a 2014 audit, and subsequent audits found that it had never been basically replaced, along with serious shortcomings in the Paris Museum's security systems, including the use of a 2-decade-old package of software to run their security system. Wow, they really are dealing with Windows 94. The security network is where the museum's most critical protection and detection equipment is connected. The cybersecurity agency, known as ANSSI, wrote in 2014, and apparently they have not beefed up security since. So there you go. I give up. Louvre, are you kidding me? Did anyone have yuppie jihadis on their bingo card? Apparently, there was another attack of a biggish, nature that was foiled by the yuppies. Apparently, the yuppies have decided to take things on. Good night, nurse. 2 upper crust student athletes from Montclair, New Jersey, are accused of participating participating in an ISIS-inspired terror ring. English, my only language, and yet I still can't manage it. With one of the suspects allegedly plotting a Boston-style, marathon attack, the Fed said Wednesday. Thomas Cain Jimenez Guzel and Milo Serdat, both 19, were arrested on Tuesday, with both teens living in over 100 million, or not, $1 million plus Victorian homes in the manicured New York City suburb. So there you go. We've got affluenza meets ISIS. This is great. I didn't have this on my timeline. First we have apple pie mac and cheese. Now these, douchey guys from a John Hughes movie that looks like their dads own like the ski lodge. Now they're joining the, tea guys from, Mesopotamia. What is going? I give up. I just want my timeline to make sense for once. Now, the accused yuppie jihadis grew up in privilege before allegedly turning to ISIS, as you do. Mom doesn't give you that new Abercrombie and Fitch jeans. You turn to a caliphate, as you do. Now, Jimenez Gul's mother, Merida Guls, serves as the head of the United Nations Women's Entrepreneurship Program, and Serdat's father, Roger Serdat, is an award-winning Iranian-American poet and professor at Queens College in New York City. Now, Guzel has been with the UN for more than a decade working on women empowerment projects, according to her LinkedIn account, with the mother previously working in the finance sector. Now, Roger Serdat, who teaches poetry and literary translation for Queens College MFA program, is best known for his work celebrating the written history of his father's native Iran and Persian poetry. Now, both attended Montclair High School, one of the most prestigious, not prodigious, although proctologist, podiatrist, it's always one of them in the region. Now, Jimenez Guls, who is a hulking 6'1", 235-pound defensive end with the football team, and Serdat was on the wrestling team. Now, Montclair is a sought-after suburb outside of Newark, New Jersey. I don't care. Milo Serdat was arrested at his father's tidy 3-story house in Montclair on Tuesday, sources told the Post. He was charged with 2 counts of transmitting threats to interstate and foreign commerce. Yeah, don't do that. Now, acting U.S. District Attorney for New Jersey, Alina Habba, said that the complaint describes a pattern of anti-Semitic messages advocating violence, along with messages and purchases consistent with the preparation for an attack, including a knife and sword collection, tactical gear, and images of him practicing at a force multiplier range. Now, Jimenez Guzel, meanwhile, was arrested in a food court in Terminal B at Newark Liberty International Airport on Tuesday, where police said he was waiting to take a flight to visit family in Turkey with the goal of reaching Syria and training with ISIS, according to law enforcement sources. Now, the suspect was allegedly set to travel on November 17th, but moved the date up after news broke out about the Detroit raids against another sort of terror plot that we were told was supposed to happen around Halloween or on Halloween evening. Now, the Fed said that they found numerous inspired ISIS messages on the young man's phone, including a statement he made online about conducting a Boston-style attack. Habba said the messages included photographs of Jimenez standing in front of an ISIS flag holding a knife. He was charged with attempting to provide material support to a foreign terror group. Now, Serdat arrived at a federal courthouse in Newark, New Jersey, Wednesday evening, shackled at the wrist and ankle, sporting a gray hoodie, tousled hair, and a faint little mustache. I don't know why we need to know about his little, trying to grow a mustache, but there you go. Now, the suspect flashed a smile at someone in the gallery during his brief appearance in front of Magistrate Andre Espinosa, who ordered him to be held at the Essex County Jail. Now, Jimenez, who towered over the U.S. Marshals leading him into the Newark courtroom in shackles, remained silent during his appearance, except to to Judge Espinosa that he understood the charges against him and the potential penalty, which prosecutors said could include up to 20 years in prison per count, plus a $250,000 fine and a lifetime of supervised release. Now, prosecutors also asked for a no-contact order prohibiting Jimenez and Serdat from having any contact with their co-conspirator and co-defendants, as well as a separation order specifically prohibiting any communication between the teen suspects, which Judge Espinosa did grant. So they will be on a very tight leash, not be able to talk to each other. Now, both have defense attorneys that declined to talk to the Post when requested for comment, which is not unusual with the relative newness of this case, that a defense attorney is not going to say anything. And there might be, sequestration and media gag orders already with something with, this kind of thing. Let's see here. Now, Craig Whedon, one of Serdat's neighbors, said the neighbors were shocked when nearly 24 law enforcement vehicles pulled up to arrest the suspect. The incident has left the community feeling shaken, with neighbors leaving flowers and condolences notes on the family's home and expressing their shock over how a local teen could allegedly be connected with such a dark plot. They were good kids, one woman declined to give her name said. Others described the Serdats as good neighbors and a good family. They had so these two teens had allegedly been part of a chat group where several members discussed plans for a Halloween-style attack they codenamed Pumpkin, as you do. Now, the suspects in the group also had material relating to several mass attacks and kind of incidents, including the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing, Columbine, and even the 2019 Christchurch mosque shooting in New Zealand. So it did seem like, just with the very vague things that we have, and I don't know when we're going to actually get more information, seeing as this is a federal case, but it does seem like there's meat on the bone here, that they did have probable cause to at least look at this guy. Look at these two. Now, I'm holding back, my own personal thoughts until I get more information, but it definitely does look like they at least had loose affiliations or at least admirations for some of the bad people. Now, the New Jersey arrest came just 2 days after a pair of Dearborn, Michigan men were charged with supplying weapons for another tea-inspired attack, allegedly taking aim at gay bars in Detroit. Now, I did run a story yesterday in which the defense in the Detroit case says that there is nothing going on, that there was absolutely nothing. So we are going to have to wait for trials in all of these cases. That being said, these defense attorneys in this particular case seem to have a lot that they need to work through to try to negate. Now, police also arrested Ayab Nasir, 19, of Dearborn on Wednesday for his alleged role in acquiring the weapons and supporting the terrorist-affiliated group. Now, court documents name Muhammad Ali, 20, as one of the main co-conspirators aiming to unleash a mass shooting on Halloween night, according to prosecutors. The criminal complaint ultimately refers to 5 unidentified co-conspirators and a minor labeled a person 1, the latter of whom was allegedly assigned to carry out an attack along with Ali, while the rest of the group later made their way to join the ISIS in Syria. But before Ali and his associates could carry out these attacks, authorities raided their homes and storage unit that had been rented by Ali in nearby Inkster. Now, in all, investigators uncovered 3 AR-style rifles, 2 shotguns, 4 pistols, and more than 1,600 rounds of ammunition, as well as GoPro cameras, tactical vests, and additional gear. Along with the weapons, police found images and messages on the suspects' electronic devices that did demonstrate their obsession with ISIS. Ali specifically had videos on his Instagram account of the 9/11 terrorist attack in New York City, and the hijackers who perpetrated it, according to the complaint. U.S. Attorney Jerome Gordon Jr. said that the Department of Justice would crack down on these plots and would get all the people involved We will not stop. We will follow these tentacles wherever they lead, and we will continue to stand guard with the FBI against terrorism. So it does look like, again, I am not mainstream media. I'm not going to tell you guys to be scared, but be aware of your surroundings. Make note of where exits are. It's something I do all the time. It's not something we should have to do, but it's, have to do, and it's not fair, are things that you can shout into the ether, or you can take a little bit of personal responsibility for your safety and do everything you can to be as safe as you can. I mean, now do expect, if you are planning to travel, that with the shutdown, it looks like there are going to be flight cuts coming to major airports due to the shutdown. Now, this is not a political channel. I do have a dog on the fight because I live in America, but I don't tell you guys what to think. But if you do have holiday plans coming up, depending on how long this shutdown goes, we are heading into peak travel season, the holiday travel season, when everyone wants to go see their family. So this could become a major, major issue in the coming weeks. So do keep an eye on this, not, fear porn level, but it definitely does seem like this is something that you'll need to keep in mind for those holiday travel plans. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has announced in a news conference that there will be a 10% reduction in flights at 40 major airports at the end of the week due to impacts of ongoing federal government shutdowns. Now, Duffy's comments come 2 days after he warned that there could be far-reaching flight cancellations and disruption of air travel, putting the pressure on the country's air traffic controllers. I think it's going to lead to more cancellations, but we're going to work with airlines to do this in a systematic way, Duffy said on November 5th in response to reporters' questions. This is data-based, he added. This is not based on what airline travel has more flight out of what location. This is about where the pressure is and how do we alleviate the pressure. Now, Duffy did not specify how long these restrictions might last or which airports will be impacted, but officials stated they will begin on Friday morning, November 7th. Now, officials say they will work with airlines to figure out how to implement the reductions. We're going to try to be prescriptive, surgical, and put the relief where the relief will do the most good, said the Federal Aviation Administration's Brian Bedford in a conference. Again, we're not going to do anything that will compromise the safety of air travel in the United States. Now, USA Today did reach out to major U.S. carriers, including JetBlue, for a comment, including American Airlines and Delta, but they did not reply. Now, Southwest Airlines is evaluating how the planned FAA flight restrictions will affect our schedules, and will communicate directly with customers as soon as possible, a Northwest Airlines spokesperson told USA Today in an email statement. Nothing is more important to Southwest than the safety of our customers and employee. So we continue to urge Congress to immediately resolve its impasse and restore the national airspace system to its full capacity. So I don't have great big wisdom, but if you do have flights, if you are looking at getting a flight, do keep this in mind. I mean, I don't have anything to tell you wisdom wise, other than, try to be flexible and, check with your airlines and see what is going to be there. Now, actually, this is going to Snake Island. Normally we don't have Snake Island much anymore, but this story is all these people need to go to the depths of Snake Island. Do not pass go. Do not collect $100. These people, this story is buckle in, y'all.
It's a curse. We've got room for the wicked, the cruel, and the worst. If you lie, if you cheat, if your soul's made of bow, you're bound for the fangs and the venom in style. Oh, one-way ticket to Snake Island. Oh, let the conscience, less cowards and gaslighters go. No anchor, no lifeboat, no tearful goodbyes. Just hissing and coming in cold-blooded skies. Backstab your friend.
A half-naked woman was allegedly tortured and chained in a Texas backyard for months by 5 friends. I don't know that friends, like enemies, demons, but friends, air quotes, who didn't like her anymore. Now, what are these, gaggle of thinking enthusiast half-wits doing? Swear to goodness, they all look like the hills have eyes. None of them look like the people that you would think, oh, they're the friend group that gets to be exclusive. Yeah, these people are the ones that are like, we're the plastics and we don't like you anymore. When genetic rejects don't like you anymore, that's generally a good thing. Also, okay, we'll get into this. A half-naked woman was allegedly tortured and chained up in a backyard of a Texas home for months, leading to the arrest of 5 people who allegedly starved and shot at the defenseless victim with BB guns. The Austin Police Department responded to a home on the south side of the city around 9 a.m. on October 30th. After a 911 call was made regarding a woman screaming for help and handcuffed to a metal exercise equipment that was in a backyard, according to a press release. Now, officers arrived to find the unnamed woman suffering from severe injuries, naked from the waist down, and shackled to a punching bag stand. This is insane. As first responders quickly sprang into action and attempted to free the woman, but due to the condition of the restraints, they did have to call in Austin Fire Department to bring in special equipment to cut through the metal restraints. The woman showed signs of physical distress, had visible injuries consistent with prolonged restraint, police said. Now, as they worked to free the woman, 5 adults inside the home noticed what was happening and tried to flee. How do you sleep through the entire SWAT team come into your house to free your prisoner in the backyard, and y'all done slept through it until you noticed they were using the jaws of life to cut her ass out, and then you're like, oh, we should flee now? Are you in? How do you not notice that people have found your prisoner that you left outside for reasons? Now, they did attempt to flee, but they were immediately caught and detained because these are thinking enthusiasts. They're sort of thinking hobbyists. They don't use their brains all the time. Now, police also found 2 small children living in the home who were placed in the care of Child Protective Services. Now, the suspects include Michelle Garcia, 51, Crystal Garcia, 21, Mache Carne, 32, Juan Paul Castro, 30, Menard Leifers, 21, all had allegedly held the victim captive for months, according to police. Now, the victim told investigators that she had been friends with Michelle Garcia, but stated that the group at some point decided they no longer liked her, and the 5 decided to keep her as a captive, according to an affidavit obtained by the Austin American Statesman. Now, she said she was forced to live outside for weeks and laid hands on whenever she tried to flee. Now, it is unclear when the victim was taken into captivity and exactly how long she was held. Now, the detective said that the woman was fed just 1 plate of food a day and shackled to the metal exercise stand, sometimes both wrists locked behind her back. Now, Michelle Garcia allegedly told investigators she limited the woman to 1 meal a day because she thought the victim had gotten chunky. What in the name of demon? Now, in all reality, the woman appeared to be severely malnourished. The victim said the night before she was found, her pants had slipped down and she'd gotten into trouble. She had then been shot with a BB gun while cuffed in the backyard stand and left there half naked overnight as a punishment while temperatures dropped into the low 40s. Just absolutely horrific. During her captivity, she has sustained extensive injuries, including open wounds, severe swelling on her wrist, loss of tissues from her hands and feet, and widespread scarring from BB gun pellets, along with sufficient and kind of noticeable facial trauma as well. After being located and transported to the local hospital, doctors determined that her injuries matched weeks of torture and restraint, and scans actually found that there was a BB lodged in her right eye. Now, Castro allegedly told the police that he shot the woman with an electric style BB gun because he didn't want to touch her. Center of the sun. He also admitted that he would get home from work and grab the BB gun from his closet and chase her around the yard, expressing that he effing hates her. Now, one of the children found in the home, a 4-year-old identified as Castro's son, said his dad shot the woman whenever she was bad, and that his mom, Carney, usually stood by and watched. Now, all 5 suspects have been arrested and charged with aggravated kidnapping, aggravated assault, injury to the elderly or disabled, and unlawful restraint. Now, they are all currently locked up at the Travis County Jail on $305,000 bond. Now, Carney and Michelle Garcia returned to court on November 18th and 21st, while Crystal Garcia, Castro, and Leifers are set to appear on December 15th. Now, this case is still open and under investigation, and I do expect the charges to grow. That being said, it does seem like this person might have been in a vulnerable capacity. Maybe just with the injury to elderly or disabled, seems to me like this woman or this victim might have had either some diminished capacity mentally. There was another very tragic case of a developmentally handicapped young woman who was befriended by some people as she was going to do, I think, a day trip into town, and she was also tortured and red rummed. So this is not something that we haven't seen before, but this has to be one of the crueler cases that have come up. So I will definitely be following this case, but I do expect that charges and crimes will continue to grow. These will not be the only charges that are there once they do finally get to trial, if this goes to trial or they don't plead it. Well, I mean, we're down to one, I believe. Now, Mississippi officials are still searching for one escaped monkey after the other 2 have been found dead. Now, the last I thought I heard, we had already found there were 3 monkeys missing, and one had been found by a homeowner, because I'm keeping track of these because I'm having Shizzy string together for tomorrow a Lemmy style song about the monkeys. That being said, it does seem like we're getting a little bit hazy we're getting fuzzy math when it comes to these monkeys that may or may not have been caught. And I kind of feel like we should have an accurate arithmetic on, the potentially lab monkeys that are still wandering out and around in the American South. I just figured we would maybe do that. Now, it seems like only one rhesus monkey that it has escaped from the truck that overturned on a Mississippi highway a week ago remains on the loose, according to state wildlife officials who have confirmed that the other 2 were found deceased. I don't trust them. I still think there's more monkeys out, but we will stay on top of this story until all the monkeys are home. Now, this is kind of a heartbreaking case. And it does look like something or somewhere there was a ball dropped or something. I am not quite sure. I will say that I do try to keep up with all of these cases, but there are a lot of cases to keep up with. Now, charges have been dropped in the high-profile Savannah Soto Matthew Guerrera murder case. For almost 2 years, the family of Savannah Soto and Matthew Guerrera have been waiting for justice. Now, it's either Bexar or Bear. It's Texas, so I either want to say Bexar or Bear, and I know whichever one I pick, it's going to be the wrong one. County Criminal District Attorney's Office has dropped all charges against Christopher Presadio's stepmother, accused of helping him cover up the alleged murder. Now, during those nearly 24 months, there evidently wasn't enough time for prosecutors to get DNA testing done. Now, Presandio's parents, Raymond Presandio and Merta Romano, are accused of helping him conceal his alleged crimes, moving the bodies of Soto and Guerrera, according to investigators. Now, the two have been set for a trial before, though it was delayed repeatedly. Now, court officials have told MySA that the delays were tied to the attorneys not being ready for trial. But just as Romanos was set to plead her innocence before a jury of her peers, the reality of that unpreparedness became clear. Now, prosecutors first asked the judge overseeing the cases against Romanos and Presidios for a continuance, citing the need to get evidence tested, but the judge denied that request. In fact, the defense attorney made clear that Romanos was ready for trial. So just as jury was to be selected, prosecutors filed a motion to dismiss all the charges against Romanos. Now, the same team saw a continuance for Presido's father. They said that all parties agreed in previous hearings that the Presido trial would be conducted before the parents. However, it seems that the judge has grown weary of waiting for Presido's now February trial date, postponed from its original setting, which was supposed to be this week. During prior hearings this year, it was discussed among the parties in the court that Christopher's capital murder case would be the first case tried among these three co-defendants, the prosecutors wrote in their ask for a continuance on November 4th, the same day the trial was set to start for both Romanos and Presidio's father. The state respectfully requests, good Lord English, that the court continue with the schedule in interest of reliance upon the understanding of the order of the court. Now, the same motion, which was ultimately denied in the case of Romanos, also asked to extend the trial date as Bexar County Crime Lab continues to test a .38 Davis Industries hand force multiplier for DNA and fingerprint evidence. Now, apparently, this gun was discovered early in January of 2024. The lab had already matched the gun ballistically to the weapon used to take the life of Soto and Guerrera. Now, while charges against the Romanos have been dismissed, court records suggest that new charges may be filed after the lab completes its examination. Yeah, I was trying to read to see whether it had been dismissed with prejudice or without. Now, I'm guessing without, because it does look like they are looking to charge new or put new charges in. You know, I woke up at 1 and could not get back to sleep, so I think that is where we're having a little bit of an issue. And I blame daylight savings time. Support for daylight savings time is at the lowest it's ever been in U.S. history. I say we've Tim Pool's always talking about us getting into, the second, boogaloo. I say we do it for daylight savings time. I say we finally fight against something we can achieve, which is let's get rid of daylight savings time. They don't want to fall back on the old way of doing things. Daylight savings time is a thing that will end on Sunday morning, with 48 states setting their clocks back an hour in order to steal more sunshine in the morning. However, the change could be something of the past as more states push to lock the clocks. 10 states across the country have enacted legislation to permanently observe daylight savings time. They are Maine, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Tennessee, Delaware, Colorado, Texas, and Wyoming. However, they need congressional approval to begin observing that change. Now, according to The Hill, the states do not have the ability to lock their clocks. Current federal regulations limit their decisions to year-round standard time only. Now, Arizona and Hawaii are currently the only two states that observe year-round standard time. California voters approved a measure to do away with daylight savings time in 2018, but that has not yet come into effect. Now, Americans are split on the issue, but support for scrapping daylight savings time is growing, meaning people prefer more light in the morning and less in the evening. Now, a Gallup poll conducted earlier this year found that about 54% of Americans are ready to do away with the practice, while just 40% say they are in favor of observing daylight savings time, the lowest level ever recorded in history. That's a steep drop from 73% who favored daylight savings time in a 1999 poll, and lower than the 51% who supported the practice in 1937. So I say we just take it away. If it's not popular, I'm ready to go with it. Now, the horrific murder in a choir loft cold case is now solved, according to investigators. Carol Ann Daughtry was on her way to meet friends in the library in her small Pennsylvania hometown on October in 1962. Unfortunately, the 9-year-old never made it there. She stopped apparently to say a short prayer at St. Mark Roman Catholic Church, parking her bicycle outside. When she didn't return home for dinner, her parents began to search for her. Her father, spotting her bike, went into the church and discovered, doggone it, her battered little body in the choir loft. Now, her murder would remain unsolved for 63 years. On October 29th, the district attorney in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, announced that the identity of Carol Ann Daughtry's killer has finally been known, according to the Bucks County Courier-Times. Now, Bucks County District Attorney Jennifer Shorn released a grand jury report alleging that William Schrader SA'd and strangled Carol in the choir loft at St. Mark Roman Catholic Church. What kind of demon do you need to be to assault a little girl in a church? Like, what kind of, like, that is extra level, like, need of satanic, like, punishment. I mean, honestly, how deeply disturbed and deeply into human corroded trash water, like, ness do you need to be to attack an innocent in a church? Like, I'm fairly irreverent, and I would suggest that's taking it all the way to demon. Like, I'm kind of fully with Alex Jones at this point. I used to think he was being, hyperbolic, but after reading stuff like this, I'm kind of thinking, yup, he's right. Now, she was described as a happy, devout child who loved reading. Now, Schrader passed away of a heart attack at the age of 64 in July of 2002. So there will not be a trial, but at least we know who did this, and the family can know, and they can have a name. Although the case went unsolved for decades, it was not for lack of effort, dedication, or commitment for pursuing the truth, Shorn said. We believe it may be the only SA and murder of a little girl in a church in the United States. Now, Schrader was one of a few suspects in the case, but had passed a polygraph test and left abruptly for Florida. Now, in 1970, he was sentenced to 21 years in prison in in Louisiana for arson and taking the life of an 11-year-old girl. Now, Carol Ann Daughtry's case, still unsolved, fell from the public's consciousness until 1992, when Bucks County Courier-Times did a series, Murder in a Choir Loft, that prompted re-examination of the evidence, with Schrader as a focus of the renewed investigation. Now, he was extradited to Pennsylvania for questioning, when he was then compelled to testify before a grand jury. Now, he did invoke his Fifth Amendment right when asked about Carol Ann Daughtry's murder. He was not charged and sent back to Louisiana. Now, a man who met Schrader in prison during the 1960s told his parole officer that Schrader had told him shortly before he passed that he'd committed the perfect murder, and that he'd SA'd the girl on an altar before killing her to keep her from talking. Now, Robert LeBlanc's parole officer told Bucks County authorities that LeBlanc, who has since passed on, confirmed the information to investigators in 2024. Now, in 2024, DNA evidence was retested and submitted to a Texas lab that is specializing in cold cases. Now, this case has haunted the Bristol Borough community for years. Bristol Borough County Chief or Police Chief Joe Moores said. Investigators' pursuit of the truth and teamwork has finally delivered answers for Carol's family and our community. Their pursuit of truth has finally delivered. Now, our family lived without answers and uncertainty surrounding Carol's death, and that just became a part of who we were, said her sister, Kay Doherty. After so many decades of unknowing, this finally brings some closure and truth to a wound that never healed. So just absolutely heartbreaking. I'm glad that the family has finally gotten this knowledge. And Satan, if you could just do one for the team and poke him extra hard for us, allegedly in Minecraft, I'm just saying, for a friend, because honestly. Well, speaking of douche canoe, in sort of the legal wrangling between whether Bryan Kohberger should have to pay additional restitution or any restitution to the families of his victims, it has come out that he has received some sizable donations to his Honey Bun Fund. Idaho prosecutors are arguing that the families of Bryan Kohberger's victims should be able to access money that he is making or that he makes from movies or books about the case. I do believe that's already a statute in Idaho law, so I do believe that that is something that is already something he is prohibited from profiting on. In a remote court hearing on November 5th, Ada County Judge Stephen Hippler revealed that the 30-year-old criminology PhD student has received 5 figures in donations in less than 3 years. He's been behind bars since his arrest. Now, the exact amount and who these mystery donors are not quite clear, as those details do remain sealed. Now, Kohberger's defense attorney, Alyssa Massoth, argued that a lot of the money had come from his own family so that they could have communication with their son and brother in prison. Now, however, it only cost about 10 cents a message and 25 cents a minute for inmates to make calls from Ada County Jail, where Kohberger was being housed awaiting trial. A hearing came as Kohberger's defense attorneys and Idaho prosecutors continue to spar over what the killer should have to pay the families of the 4 University of Idaho students that he took their lives. Now, in recent court filings, Kohberger's lawyers have argued that he should not have to pay the additional restitution because the families did receive donations through GoFundMe campaigns for their travel expenses to the court should there have been a trial. Those are an additional restitution that the state is seeking, and I do understand the defense's reasoning. Do I think it looks optically good? Hell no, but nothing they've done in the Kohberger case has been optically, well, Olympic. So, right on, and they are supposed to be zealous advocates of his rights. So, I don't know the statutes that cover the additional court cost fees. It does seem a bit double dippy, if you ask me, to have him pay restitution and the travel expenses when they did have a GoFundMe. But optically, it doesn't look very good when you have been adjudicated guilty of these heinous crimes and then you're going after the family because you don't want to pay them money. Now, Judge Hippler did not issue a ruling in the hearing taking the matter under advisement, but appeared to be unconvinced by the defense's argument that he can't afford to pay up. Now, Kohberger did waive his right to appear at the hearing, declining to join even in a remote capacity from Idaho's maximum security prison in Kuna. Now, the hearing came just 1 week ahead of the 3rd anniversary of the November 13th, 2022 murders and marks the first court appearance in the case since Kohberger was sentenced to life in prison in summer. So again, we probably won't know more about this until he makes a ruling, but once he does, I will get that information to you guys. In another update on a case that is national and international, and a case that keeps getting weirder and weirder, the case of Melody Buzzard. Now, it seems that the mother of Melody Buzzard switched license plates during her road trip. Ashley Buzzard, the mother of 9-year-old missing Melody Buzzard, allegedly switched license plates during a road trip in an apparent effort to avoid detections, authorities have said. claiming that they are narrowing down their timeline of when the little girl went missing. Now, on October 7th, Melody and her mom left on a 3-day road trip from Lompoc, California to the Nebraska area, the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office said. Now, surveillance images have shown the 9-year-old in what appears to be a wig at a Santa Barbara area rental car business on October the 7th. Now, the last verified sighting of Melody has now determined to be October 9th. Sheriff's spokesperson Raquel Zick told ABC News on Monday. Surveillance video shows Melody with her mother that day near the Colorado-Utah border. Now, the next day on October 10th, Ashley Buzzard came home to Lompoc with a white 2024 Chevrolet Malibu that she had rented on October 7th, but Melody was not with her. Now, Zick said investigators are focusing on the timeline between October 9th and October 10th. Authorities say they believe Ashley Buzzard drove through Green River, Utah, Panujic, Utah, Northwest Arizona, Primm, Nevada, and Rancho Cucamonga, Florida. During the trip, Ashley allegedly removed the Malibu's California driver's license plate. On October 8th, the Malibu then had a New York license plate, so it's not clear when the plate was put on or if other plates, in addition to these 2 plates that are known about, were added at different times. Now, the original California license plate was back on the car when Ashley Buzzard returned it to the agency in California. So this case is getting weirder and weirder. It does appear that the license plate was switched to avoid detection and didn't have any other plausible explanation. Now, Ashley Buzzard has not been cooperating with the investigation, according to authorities. Melody is still considered to be a missing person and no arrests have been made. So this is definitely a case to keep up with, but I'm not sure where it's going because it seems a little weird. Now, buckle in, y'all, because we've got some palate cleansers, but also some stories that make you wonder, is it the end times? Or maybe could it be the end times? You know, depending on where you are on your weekly motivation, it's like, could it be the end times? Could I get a break, Lord? Or don't let it be the end times. Whichever way you're going, I've got some stories for you.
The key keep its grove, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With 6-pack listening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
Well, for a bit of a palate cleanser, when I saw this headline, I couldn't let it go. November's Beaver Moon is going to be the biggest supermoon in 6 years. So if you've been waiting for a really romantic full beaver moon to do something, it's upon us. Get ready for the moon show of the year. November's full moon reaches peak illumination this year, but it's not just any moon, it's the closest and brightest supermoon since 2019. Also known as the Beaver Moon, because why not? This celestial event sits approximately 221,800 miles from Earth. That's roughly 2,780 miles closer than October's supermoon. I mean, now that's like bringing the moon all the way from Washington, D.C. to southern Alaska nearer to us. So the moon will be noticeably larger and significantly more luminous. Well, those beaver moons make it sparkle. I am not mature enough to read this. I am officially not mature enough to read this. Now, supermoons do occur when our lunar companion reaches perigee, its closest orbital point to Earth. And during these events, the moon can look up to 14% bigger and shine 30% brighter compared to when it's at its farthest distance. Yes, I did get that actually. It was on the last story. Yes, I did pull this. I actually had this human Barbie influencer Barbie or Barbara Jan Jankviska is dead at 31. Influencer Barbara, I'm going to butcher her last name, known as the human Barbie due to her dozens of plastic surgery, has died. The Brazilian influencer died after taking an unknown substance during an encounter with a public defender. Who is taking an unknown substance with your public defender? As you do, here's my public defender. We're just going to do some nose clams. Do what now? The 51-year-old attorney reportedly told police that he had hired her for sexual services and they'd both... Oh, well, that's why. I thought they were in the courthouse. Okay, you need to explain that it's not her public defender. They're not like... You could have just said her John and I would have understood it a lot better than her defense attorney. Well, it seems that they both use not street legal pharmaceuticals before their, bump and grind. He said he hadn't realized that she wasn't moving after she fell asleep, but then did when he did realize that she wasn't sleeping, he called the mobile emergency care service, which instructed him on how to perform life-saving aid. Unfortunately, she was pronounced dead inside the São Paulo residence by responding authorities. Now, the São Paulo State Military Police reported the influencer was only wearing underwear when she passed and did have some sort of injury on her left eye, along with marks along her back, according to CNN Brazil. Now, a friend of the man reportedly claimed that she had hurt her eye when she fell earlier that day. Now, her sudden death is under investigation. Now, she was nicknamed, the living Barbie doll on social media, and had more than 400,000 followers on her various platforms. She documented her routine of beauty enhancement procedures and is believed to have undergone plastic surgery at least 27 times. She was 31. Good night, nurse. Also, she looked like she was attractive prior to doing all the crazy stuff to her face. I don't understand why women constantly do this. If you're wondering whether you should fly, just don't. Poo smears on the seat. Delta is reportedly apologizing after a passenger endured a cross-country flight next to a human biohazard. Okay, when you have to put things like human biohazard in your headline, that's a no. A Delta passenger is raising a stink after having to sit next to a foul-smelling passenger who reportedly soiled themselves during a 5.5-hour trip from Florida to Los Angeles, California. They detailed their odoriferous flight in a post taking off on Reddit. In the smelly story, captioned a 5.5-hour flight next to a human biohazard, the poster said initially they thought that the flight was going to be smooth sailing as it was a direct flight, cross country, and he had no layovers. However, the flyer realized that they were SOL when an older gentleman boarded with airline assistance and no companion got seated right next to him. The post reached out to Delta and the passenger for comment. Turns out he had some serious mobility issues, which meant I was effectively window seat prison for 5.5 hours, the passenger recalled. Every breath was a gamble. The flight attendants kept checking in on him and assessing the situation. Unfortunately, that was just the tip of the iceberg, as upon landing, the Redditor's seatmate immediately stood up against instruction, and that's when the true horror revealed himself. Apparently, there were literal poo smears on the seat, and him. The traveler recalled, I'd spent an entire cross-country flight marinating in that odor. Why did he have to use the word marinating? God, oh, duh. They continued. As I stumbled off the plane in shock, one of the flight attendants said, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. Why didn't you ask for a mask? The passenger explained, lady, I need an exorcism, not a mask. In light of the malodorous, incident, Delta has reportedly apologized to the passenger and offered them free miles as compensation per a screenshot of their mea culpa. At Delta, we take pride in delivering an exceptional experience and providing reliable and thoughtful service at every moment of your journey. With your recent trip with us, we didn't live up to that commitment, and we want you to know that we're sorry. They added, please accept 5,000 miles along with our heartfelt apology and commitment to be better for you and Delta customers. Now, the Redditor deemed the gesture nice, but said they probably deserved some therapy and several showers. Now, Redditor commenters found Delta's, reparations stingy at best. 5,000 miles is not enough, said one. That's horrible and unacceptable. Demand something you feel more appropriate for what you experienced. Another wrote 5,000 miles is about $50. It's literally nothing. I feel bad for the other guy, though. I mean, maybe he was also feeling terrible. But yeah, I only fly Delta. I sing their praises, but that's literally like him giving you a small coupon. Others raised concerns that the seat might not have been properly cleaned after the incident. I just want to know if they removed the entire contaminated seat before the plane departed again, or did the cleaners display it with Lysol? Because, no. How about, that the plane needs to be burned to the ground, okay, after that happens. Now buckle in, because apparently his size was what led to the divorce. Y'all, where are these headlines? Where are they coming from? 2025 keeps shining on, you absurd bastard. Ex-NFL player Matt Khalil's ex-Haley Bailey blames the demise of their marriage on the size of his manhood. According to influencer Haley Bailey, it wasn't the motion of the ocean, it was the size of the boat that sank her marriage between her and NFL ex Matt Khalil. Per Page 6, during a no-holds-barred Twitch interview with streamer Marlon, no idea who these people are, by the way. The 33-year-old former Sports Illustrated swimsuit model confessed that her ex-husband's assets were the biggest factor in their 2022 divorce. We tried everything, she explained, noting that she was willing to try therapy and doctors. It was impossible unless you're going to be in tears. The ex-Vikings lineman's size, Bailey claims, is like huge in 0.01% of the population, but fans are crying foul at the eyebrow-raising revelation. Darn, that's a huge breach of trust, one fan wrote on X. Disrespectful, you were married to that person, some things are private. Now, the former couple tied the knot in 2015 after 3 years of dating, but split in 2022. Now, Khalil, 36, has since remarried a model, Kalani Asmas, with whom he married and welcomed a son in 2024. So obviously, it works, y'all. I don't know that I would ever put that out there, but I mean, of all the things to do, I guess aliens may be coming. No, it was supposed to be huge, like two beer cans together. Personally, U.S. representatives call on NASA to share unreleased pictures of 31 Atlas as the comet shifts colors for the third time. She wants to put Atlas on the map. Amid growing mysteries surrounding 31 Atlas, Republican Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna is calling on NASA to share the unreleased data and images of the Manhattan-sized comet that's, leading to a lot of conjecture. The 36-year-old Florida representative shared on X that she had addressed a letter to acting NASA Administrator Sean Duffy. I read a request to release the specific observational data related to 31 Atlas recently captured by NASA missions. The information is of great importance on advancing our understanding of interstellar visitors and their interaction with our solar system. ET's coming here. Now, this comes as the comet has exhibited some signs of non-gravitational acceleration and appeared bluer than the sun while flying by our local star, causing Harvard scientist Avi Loeb to speculate that it could have an alien craft engine. Now, lawmakers specifically called on the space agency to release images that the high rise camera aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter snapped between October 2nd and 3rd. She's also requesting supplementary data from the spacecraft in question, the Perseverance rover, and other Mars missions that may have detected unusual activity near Mars around or after October 3rd, 2025, when 31 Atlas passed approximately 30 million kilometers adjacent to the planet. Now, coincidentally, Loeb accused NASA of refusing to show him high-rise camera snap images on October 2nd, suggesting that said image could have provided evidence of the cosmic body's non-cometary characteristics, such as a tail that points towards and not away from the sun, which is standard. Elsewhere in the letter, Luna implored the agency to keep close tabs on Atlas, which is the third ever interstellar object recorded in our solar system. I encouraged NASA to additionally fund observations of 31 Atlas by the Juno mission near Jupiter, utilizing all available instrumentation, including its radio sensors. Observations from this vantage point could yield valuable insights into the object's composition, trajectory, and possible interaction with the solar environment. Now, Loeb has praised Luna for taking initiative in a recent post on Medium, writing that we all owe a debt of, well, look, we're not going to kiss politicians' asses for asking NASA to give us the information that taxpayers fund. Give us, nassholes, give us the information. Speaking of nassholes, although this is the Chinese, so I don't know exactly what they call theirs, but America left our astronauts up in space, so China just thought, well, we can do it better than you, I guess. 3 astronauts have been left stranded in space after their ship was struck by an unknown object. 3 astronauts already in space for 6 months are now stranded in orbit after their craft may have been damaged by dangerous debris floating around Earth. China's Manned Spaceship Flight Agency, CMSA, has revealed that the crew from its Shenzhou 20 mission will need to stay on board the Chinese station Tiangong. Their replacements have already arrived in the space station after taking off in their own rocket on October 31st. Now, the astronauts Chen Dong, Chen Zhogri, and Wang Ji have been on the space station, which means heavenly place, since April, completing science experiments and conducting spacewalks, also living in zero gravity. Now, at some point before the trio officially handed over the station to the Shenzhou 21 crew on November 5th, the capsule that the astronauts were supposed to use to return to Earth was struck by some unknown object in Earth's orbit. Now, the collision left a noticeable mark on the vehicle's hull, leading the team to fear that it might have sustained internal damage that could endanger their flight home. Now, the 2 astronauts will now have to comb through the spacecraft to check for any critical problems before attempting to use the spacecraft again. The next return data has not been released yet, so they don't even know when they're going to actually return again if everything is found to be okay. Now, this is the second time this year that an astronaut crew has been stranded in space due to a problem with their space capsule, taking place just 7 months after NASA's Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore were rescued from the International Space Station. It's just not a good year to be an astronaut. Chinese officials are unsure what struck the spacecraft, but the damage is believed to have been caused by space debris, which is basically junk floating around Earth from older missions and rocket launches. Now, this can include anything from bits of broken satellites and dropped tools from spacewalks to giant pieces of discarded rocket parts. This floating garbage is moving around the planet at incredible speeds of up to 17,000 miles per hour, the average velocity for objects in low Earth orbit. This can be a real hazard for manned spacecraft, similar to driving through a hailstorm of bullets. Now, right now, there are about 19,000 pieces of space debris in Earth's orbit that the U.S. is now tracking, not counting satellites that are still in operation. However, experts at NASA think there could be over 500,000 smaller pieces too small to track. The impact analysis and risk assessments are underway, officials at CMSA said. Now, the agency will not provide any details for how long it will take the crew of, the space station to check on the ship and repair whatever damage was done. So we're not going to get a timeline. Now, this isn't the first time that space debris has struck a manned spacecraft while astronauts orbited the Earth. Russia's Mir space station was repeatedly struck by tiny pieces of space junk during its lifespan in the 1980s and 1990s. The International Space Station has also been on the receiving end of several collisions with debris, including some incidents that caused significant damage to the U.S. and Russian-led space lab. In 2021, a piece of space junk left a hole in one of the space station's robotic arms. Just a year later, an unknown object hit a docked Russian Soyuz spacecraft, putting a nearly inch-wide hole in its radiator and causing a coolant leak. So they're stuck there forever. Good luck. I don't know. Well, we got people to name and shame, and there really is no good segue. So we're just going to go into the Lord Chippy segment, because sometimes there's a lot of stories and I can put a segue in, and sometimes they're not. So, we just wing it sometimes.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Butt Lady has been sentenced to prison in the death of CSI Miami and ER actress after botched injections. A California woman, Libby Adame, known as the quote-unquote Butt Lady, on Wednesday was sentenced to 15 years to life behind bars following a second-degree murder conviction for having administered silicone injections that led to the death of Cindiana Santangelo. The actress, 58, appeared on shows such as CSI Miami, ER, and Married with Children. Her work also included a 1989 music video for Young MC's Bust a Move and the 1990 movie Adventures of Ford Fairlane. She passed away on March 24th of an embolism caused by a silicone injection administered by the Butt Lady in her home in Malibu, according to City News Service. Now, Adam, who was convicted of practicing medicine without a certificate, was found guilty of manslaughter in a similar case in 2024. In that case, Carissa Rajpal, 26, died in 2019 after being injected at her home in Sherman Oaks, California. Now, Adame was sentenced to 4 years and 4 months in prison for that offense. Now, in that case, her daughter, Alicia Galzez, was also convicted. Online jail records show that the elder Adame remains in prison. This time around, Adame's attorneys argued that she was not the one who gave the shots to Santangelo, that she only worked as a consultant to doctors legally practicing in Mexico, the paper reported, citing City News Service. Now, per NBC4, Santangelo's husband, Frank Santangelo, said at trial that his wife had wanted butt enhancement to help smooth lumps that had appeared there after hormone treatment, although she didn't want to enlarge her butt. When he saw his wife was struggling to breathe and had blood coming from each butt cheek, he has called the authorities. Now, he has filed a civil lawsuit against Adam. Now, court documents state that his wife was killed in the prime of her life in her own home after being unlawfully injected with an unsafe and unapproved substance by Libby, an unlicensed individual, falsely holding herself out as qualified to perform these cosmetic procedures. So yeah, don't get butt injections at home. I feel like this isn't something that one should have to say, but apparently, if you're looking for butt injections, go to the doctor. Well, I mean, ma'am, you have to follow the same rules as the rest of us. A powerful Iowa judge has been charged with OWI after witnesses say she drove the wrong way on a highway, as you do. A powerful Iowa judge has been charged with operating a vehicle while intoxicated after witnesses say she drove the wrong way down a highway Tuesday night while passed out behind the wheel. So she was nearly catatonically passed out and driving the wrong way. Nothing to see here. This is all normal. Adria Kester, chief judge of the state's second judicial district, was released from Boone County Jail on Wednesday morning. Please tell me she was drinking Boone's Farm from Boone's County Jail. Strawberry fields forever. She was released on Wednesday morning, according to court records. Now, a criminal complaint says that motorists called 911 after 8 p.m. on Tuesday night to report a truck slowly driving eastbound in the westbound lanes on U.S. Highway 30 near Boone. Now, one of the witnesses reported that the driver looked near unconscious and slumped over the steering wheel and continued to drive into the highway median. The complaint said a witness that got out of their vehicle to check on the driver, but the door would not open and the vehicle was still slowly moving in the median. The witness told police that she had to climb in the back window to put the 2026 GMC Canyon Denali truck in park and shut it off. Now, a deputy with the Boone County Sheriff's Office said he found Keister in the driver's seat, appearing to be heavily intoxicated and unsteady. He wrote that Keister, 55, of nearby Ogden, could not walk on her own and was assisted to an ambulance for treatment. After she was cleared by medical services, Keister could still not walk and refused to answer whether she would be willing to undergo any field sobriety tests, according to the complaint. Now, a deputy wrote in the complaint that he would also determine it would not be safe to conduct those tests given her condition. Yeah, if she can't even get her sea legs under her, I don't think she's going to be able to do the drunk hokey pokey. Now, a warrant was issued to obtain a sample of Keister's blood at the Boone County Hospital, and she was arrested for the first offense of operating while intoxicated. Well, I mean, if this is your first DUI, you went all the way. You were asleep and still driving on the median. Now, County Sheriff Andy Godzecki said the blood specimen would be shipped to the state crime laboratory for testing, and he said he was glad that no one was injured in the incident. This is a tough situation for both the Keister family and the sheriff's office, he said, adding that he had instructed his staff to treat the judge the same way they would any other suspect. Now, Keister has pled not guilty in a court filing submitted Wednesday afternoon by her attorney, Matt Lindholm, who considered one of the state's top lawyers for defending against drunk driving charges. So she got her own DUI guy. Judge Keister recognizes the seriousness of the situation and is fully cooperating with law enforcement and the judicial process, Lindholm said in a statement. She's committed to addressing this matter responsibly and in accordance with the law. Now, Steve Davis, a spokesperson for the Iowa Judicial Branch, said the court system was aware of Keister's arrest, but could not comment since it was a pending case and a personnel matter. He said that the 7-member Judicial Qualifications Commission investigates allegations of misconduct by Iowa judges and can recommend the retirement, discipline, or removal of a judicial officer to the Iowa Supreme Court. A judge ordered Keister released without bond after initial court appearance on Wednesday morning. The judge was ordered to submit to a substance abuse evaluation and follow any recommendations for treatments in the next 30 days. Iowa Chief Justice Suzanne Christensen appointed Keister chief judge in the district, which includes 22 counties in northern and central Iowa and is the largest geographically in the state, now in December 2022. Now, in that role, Keister supervises hundreds of judges and court employees in the district and presides over cases. She had been appointed as the district judge by Governor Kim Reynolds in 2017 after serving as a prosecutor and criminal defense lawyer. Now, her judicial position quickly complicated criminal proceedings against her. One district associate judge recused herself from the case Wednesday due to her professional relationship with Keister. Christensen later signed an order requiring that a judge from another district be appointed to handle the case. Judge Gregory Brandt was later designated. The Boone County Attorney's Office also cited a conflict in asking the court to appoint Polk County Attorney's Office as special prosecutor. So there you go. Don't do that. Now, what in the name of Hades on a handbasket is going on here? Like, every other case has been, a dumpster fire, but this is a mega dumpster fire. What in the hell, lady? A mother, 43, chaperoned a junior high dance, then allegedly had a child with the daughter's 14-year-old date. What in the name of Hades is going on here? An Illinois woman is accused of giving birth to a child that she conceived with a 14-year-old boy. What the F? Robin Folson, 43, is charged with 2 counts of criminal SA with a victim between the ages of 13 and 17 and 2 counts of possession of child grossness images, according to her court docket. Now, these charges, which can carry a prison sentence of up to 15 years, all stem from her alleged abuse of one of her daughter's friends, according to a probable cause affidavit obtained by People magazine. Tazewell County Assistant State's Attorney Cassandra Wilkins wrote in an affidavit that her officer learned about an investigation being conducted by the Washington Police Department following a report that they had received about Folson after she gave birth to a newborn in January 2025. A week later, investigators were able to obtain a copy of the child's birth certificate and learned that Folson had given the newborn the same middle and last name as the alleged victim, according to the affidavit. When confronted with the information, the affidavit said that Polston insisted that the father was a man in his 20s named Brian, whom she had not seen since the birth of her child. Now, investigators started looking into the alleged victim and soon learned that he and Polson's daughter had attended a junior high dance together in May 2023, where she had been a chaperone, according to the affidavit. Now, the boy moved away shortly after, but the affidavit said he returned for a visit in April 2024, approximately 40 weeks before Polson gave birth. So, what in the name of Hades in a handbasket? He returned again in June and then permanently moved back in August of 2024 to live with the family of a friend, according to the affidavit. Now, the affidavit also said that investigators discovered a large number of explicit images and videos depicting the alleged victim and Folson together. On top of all of that, DNA test did confirm that the child's parents were Folson and the alleged victim, according to the affidavit. Now, she was arrested earlier this week and is being held without bail, thank God. She has yet to enter a plea and will be formally arraigned on December 4th, according to the court document. Her lawyer did not respond to People's request for a comment. Because what can you comment? My client's gross. I'm going to make sure her constitutional rights are, honored, but she's kind of gross. Celebrity chef Anthony Millan Ross has been found guilty of taking the life of his estranged wife and 2 children on Christmas Day. A disgraced celebrity chef was convicted of taking the life of his wife and 2 young children on Christmas Day, nearly 8 years after posting a cheerful caroling video with his son the night before the killing spree. Anthony Millan Ross, 53, was found guilty Monday by Maricopa County jury on 3 counts of first-degree murder for the taking of the lives of his estranged wife, Iris, and their 2 young children, 11-year-old Nigel and 10-month-old Honora, according to Arizona Family Report. Now, Ross was a local TV vegan chef and cookbook author, and he took the life of his family in his apartment when Iris, who had filed for divorce 6 months earlier, arrived to pick up their children on December 25th, 2017. Witnesses told investigators that they saw the killer celebrity chef shoot Iris outside before he ran back inside. Law enforcement then descended upon the complex at 4 p.m. and found Iris's body on the front patio of his apartment. Now, Ross had barricaded himself inside his apartment with his 2 children. After a tense 7-hour standoff, the police stormed Ross's apartment and unfortunately found one of his children shot dead. As they were clearing the apartment, Ross appeared and opened fire on the officers, injuring one of them. Now, he surrendered after a brief shootout with police and was arrested. Investigators then found Ross's other child had been shot after he was detained. So unfortunately, he did take both of his children's lives. Now, on Christmas Eve, Ross laughed and sang Christmas carols as he appeared to be a loving, happy father alongside of Nigel. I'm smiling and hanging out with Nigel on Christmas Eve. We're about to embarrass ourselves. Ross is seen on the video posted to Facebook just hours before he took his son's life. We're gonna sing. Now the video shows the pair performing Santa Claus is Coming to Town together, finishing the video with a heartfelt Merry Christmas. Ross had also texted his estranged wife's sister, Mary Wogas, during his Christmas Day rampage to tell her he had just taken the lives of Iris and the kids. I knew the man was very unstable. I knew he had a very dark side, but I didn't know it was this dark, Wogas told investigators. She also said that he had struggled with depression. Now, Iris's roommate, Lashwana Erveshia, told Arizona Republic that Ross had also been harassing her in the weeks before the murders and had shown up to pick up the kids armed with a force multiplier. Now, in addition to the three first-degree murder convictions, the disgraced chef was also found guilty of 3 counts of aggravated assault and 17 counts of assaulting a peace officer. Now, he is scheduled to face sentencing on January 9th, 2026. Now, he does face life in prison or death. So this is going to be this is a capital case. Before the murders, Ross promoted himself as a man who had lost more than 200 pounds through a vegan diet and active lifestyle. As detailed in his book, The Change, Transforming Yourself and Your Body into the Person You Want to Be. He was also featured in the 2016 vegan documentary, Eating You Alive, alongside stars like Samuel L. Jackson and James Cameron. So, a very interesting case. I hadn't even heard of this one. So, very, very interesting. Now, really is no segue for this, but if you know people with little ones on the way, or, you're thinking about it, or even if it looks like Baby Center has released the most popular baby names for 2025. Noah and Olivia have topped the list of the most popular name for babies in 2025 once again, with Liam and Oliver following close behind in popularity for boys, and Amelia and Sophie for girls, according to new data released by Baby Center. While the most popular name for both genders remained the same as last year, Baby Center said in a news release on November 5th, it did note that there were shakeups in the top 10 on both sides. For example, Ileana and Aurora have entered the top 10 name for girls at number 7 and 9 respectively, bumping out Ava and Luna. So there you go. Now on the boys' side, Luca entered the top 10, pushing Leo out. So there you go. Personally, just name kids something they can spell. And everyone else can spell, and not stupid, okay? Because you know what happens when you name little Taylor, Thaa, like Hlierya, some weird phonetical spelling that y'all just decided. You basically require that child to explain to every person in their life why it's not spelled the normal way. Just think about it. Don't give your kid a weird ass name. My recommendation, but hey, they're your kids. I'm not paying taxes, so do whatever you want to do. That being said, I've always gone with don't make it hard to spell. That's just mean. That being said, I'm also dyslexic and had a hard time spelling, which is why all of my kids have short names. along that line, if you're happy, do it. That being said, I think, can we just have a happy medium? I don't think that people need to look anorexic or be skinny to be healthy, but could we also agree that being grossly overweight is not healthy too? Could we have a happy medium where we say, hey, your healthy might not be a size 4, it might be a size 10 and 12. That's okay. We just want you to, be as healthy for your body as you can. Well, because it's America and it's the current timeline, so of course we can't have a happy medium. A 320-pound influencer is flaunting miniskirts and tight dresses as a bid to boost body positivity. Fat and fine. If it makes you feel good, then great. Could we possibly just have a level-headed, logical, middle-of-the-road thing where we would just like everyone to be, a scotch more healthy? A self-described fat and fine influencer is not letting haters rain on her parade and defiantly declaring that she won't let her size stop her from rocking miniskirts and tight dresses. Fashion isn't age restricted or beauty isn't restricted for just one size, says Julia Sena, 30. Now, the 320-pound social media star from Phoenix, Arizona, frequently shares body-positive content to her over 121,000 followers on Instagram. These include videos where she sports skimpy outfits in an effort to show that it's okay to wear whatever you want to wear. I mean, she does seem to have a nice hourglass. And again, maybe her healthy weight is going to be a size 10 or 14. That's fine. And if she's happy with the way she looks, that's fine. I'd be afraid my hooch magooch was going to spill out. I mean, I don't know. That's a little too short for me, is all I got to say. But, well, that and you're like, no. Look, I don't want to see that. I'm not your gynecologist. I don't want to see that. That being said, wear whatever you want to wear. I'm not paying your taxes, like I'm not doing your laundry, so wear whatever you want to wear. That being said, I think there's a way that you could look sexy and classy without having your hooch magooch almost fall out, but that's just me. That's still going to be incredibly terrifying when you sit down. That being said, I've never understood, wear what you want to wear. I don't get it. But don't tell people that this is really healthy for them. Like, let's not lie. Yes, everybody is going to be different. Not everybody's made to be skinny, but we can all be better at health. I mean, and that's it. I don't get it. But those are the strange, weird, wild, and abundantly just crazy headlines for this morning. Thank you guys for joining me on Mornings with Mo and hanging out on these longer videos. I've been pulling more stories because we've just had more time here lately. So thanks for hanging out. I am checking out. It looks like Baker is doing the teen lovers accused of taking the life of grandma case. So you guys will be a little bit behind in that, about an hour behind, but you guys will probably be able to speed up quickly with him. Thank you so much for joining me. Next week, I will start doing more streams during the day. I'm afraid I am finally getting back to feeling better. So I feel like I have enough energy to I am playing around with the idea of maybe doing an afternoon news stream, 4 or 5 in the afternoon. But just because I am noticing that I'm having more energy of the afternoons here lately, but not enough to maybe do a full trial. So maybe doing another news stream in the afternoon next week might happen. So thank you so much, Granny Smith. And remember, you guys, tomorrow, it's Friday. That means we've got songs, we've got all the weird stuff. Mo's going to find more possum videos. I have found more things for you guys. It is going to be great. So if you need a place to start your Fridays off right, come hang out with me and Shizzy in the morning, and then me and Shizzy before Friday Night Lights, and we are ready to rumble on a Friday. Bye, you guys.